They say that in Japan, the most important part of the song is the silence between the notes. They call it ma. It is the space where the soul breathes. In a world that never stops screaming for our attention, Japan has mastered the art of being still, but do not be fooled by the quiet. Beneath the surface of this island nation lies a clockwork heart of neon and steel, beating at a pace the rest of the world can only hope to follow. Welcome to a journey across a land of impossible contradictions. Where the fastest trains on Earth fly past shrines that haven't changed in 1,000 years, where the future isn't something people wait for, it is something they have already lived. This is Japan. Beyond the postcards, beyond the headlines, this is the land of eternal contrast. Tokyo. It is not a city, it is a living organism, a sprawling electric forest of 38 million souls, all moving in a synchronized dance that never truly ends. If you stand in the heart of Shinjuku, you can feel it, the hum of the city. It is the sound of a civilization that rebuilt itself from ashes to become the most advanced society on the planet. But even here, in the shadow of skyscrapers, the ancient world is watching. Look closely. Between the vending machines and the high-speed rails, you will find them. Small wooden gates, burnt incense. A businessman bowing before a stone fox. In Japan, progress does not mean forgetting the past. It means carrying the past into the future. The Japanese call this takumi, the pursuit of perfection. You see it in the way a chef slices a single piece of tuna, and in the way a robotic arm assembles a supercar. It is a relentless, quiet obsession with the details. But what happens when you leave the electric pulse behind and enter the silence? To find the heart of Japan, you must go west, to Kyoto. For over 1,000 years, this was the home of the emperor. While Tokyo looks toward the stars, Kyoto listens to the earth. Here, the streets are narrow, paved with stone and memory. This is the Japan of the samurai and the geisha, a world of strict codes and hidden meanings. In the Zen gardens of Rionji, there are 15 stones set in white gravel. No matter where you stand, you can only ever see 14 of them at once. It is a riddle in stone, a reminder that in this life we can never see the full picture. As the sun sets over the Kamo River, the Gion district comes alive. It is a place of whispers, the soft clack of wooden sandals on stone, the flash of a silk kimono disappearing down a dark alleyway. It feels like a dream that hasn't ended. But as we move deeper into the mountains, we find a Japan that is even older, a Japan that belongs to the spirits. 13 centuries ago, before Kyoto was a capital, a man from the Hatta clan shot an arrow into a simple rice cake. But the cake did not shatter, it transformed. It became a white swan that soared to the peak of Mount Inari, and where it landed the rice began to grow. This was the birth of Inari, the deity of the harvest. Today the rice fields have turned into glass skyscrapers and global corporations, but the devotion remains. Every single one of these 10,000 vermilion gates was donated by someone with a dream, a business owner, a family, a striver, creating a path made entirely of fulfilled wishes. They call this colour Ak. It is the colour of the dawn. To walk through these gates is to walk through a portal between the mundane and the sacred, guided by the silent white foxes who guard the keys to the granaries of life. Beyond the steel forests of the cities, Japan belongs to the mountains. 70% of this nation is rugged, untamable wilderness. To the Japanese, nature is not something to be conquered, but a deity to be respected. Deep in the cedar groves of Nagano, the air changes. It grows heavy with the scent of moss and ancient stone. This is the realm of the kami, the spirits of the wind and the trees. Here, the forest bathing, or Shinrin-yoku, is not a trend, but a survival tactic for the soul. In these woods, time doesn't just slow down, it disappears. Most travellers never leave the main islands, but if you head south, deep into the Philippine Sea, you find the lost world of Aogashima. It is a village built inside a massive volcanic crater, a place so remote the stars are the only streetlights. Then there are the Islands of Ghosts, Gunkanjima, a forgotten coal mining fortress of concrete, now being reclaimed by the salt in the sea. These places are reminders of Japan's fragility, a nation built on the edge of the world, constantly balancing between creation and decay. To understand the soul of Japan, one must understand the shadow of the sword. For over 700 years, this nation was defined not by its poets or its politicians, but by a class of elite warriors who turned death into an art form, the samurai. They were more than mere soldiers. They were the moral and social compass of a feudal empire. Bound by a code known as Bushido, the way of the warrior, their lives were a constant meditation on loyalty, honour, and the beauty of a short, glorious life. The rise of the samurai began in the 12th century, born from the chaos of civil war between rival clans like the Minamoto and the Taira. From this violence, a new order emerged, a world where a warrior's word was his life, and a single mistake could only be answered with the ritual of seppuku, a final act of preserving one's honour through death. But look closer at the samurai, and you will find a surprising duality. They live by the philosophy of Bunbu Ryo-do, the pen and the sword in accord. A true master was expected to be as skilled with a calligraphy brush or a tea whisk as he was with a blade. In the 17th century, under the Tokugawa shogunate, Japan entered 250 years of total isolation. Without wars to fight, the samurai became bureaucrats, scholars, and the guardians of Japanese culture. This era of peace, known as the Edo period, is where the Japan we recognise today was truly forged. Though the samurai were officially disbanded in 1868 during the Meiji Restoration, they never truly left. You see their ghost in the relentless discipline of the modern salaryman. You feel their presence in the quiet dignity of a Kyoto craftsman. The armour has been laid down, but the spirit of the warrior remains the heartbeat of the nation. To the far south, the Japanese archipelago breaks into a chain of emeralds known as Okinawa. This is the Galapagos of the East. But the treasure here isn't gold, it's time. Okinawa is a blue zone, a place where people live longer than almost anywhere else on Earth. Here, the concept of ikigai, the reason for living, is not a self-help slogan, it is the daily bread. It is found in the communal gardens, the purple sweet potatoes, and the moai, the lifelong circles of friends who support each other for nearly a century. In Okinawa, aging is not a decline, but a slow, beautiful ripening. While the elders of Okinawa look to the past, the youth of Tokyo are inventing a future that feels like a dream. From the neon-soaked streets of Akihabara to the gothic lolitas of Harajuku, Japan's subcultures are a rebellion against the strict uniformity of society. If Kyoto is the silent prayer of Japan, Osaka is its boisterous laughter. Known for centuries as Tenka no Daidokoro, the nation's kitchen, this is a city that doesn't just eat, it survives on a philosophy called Kuidaore. It means to eat until you drop. In the narrow alleys of Dotonbori, under the watchful gaze of the neon Glico running man, the refined etiquette of the East gives way to something more primal. But Osaka's grit is built on a foundation of power. It was here, in the 16th century, that the great unifier Toyotomi Hideyoshi built his fortress, a castle that was meant to be the centre of a new unified Japan. Though the political capital eventually moved to Tokyo, the commercial heart stayed here. In the retro streets of Shinsekai, time feels frozen in a 1950s dream of the future. It is a reminder that while Tokyo looks at the stars, Osaka keeps its feet firmly on the ground, celebrating the messy, vibrant, and delicious reality of being alive. There is a word in Japanese, hibakujumoku. It refers to the trees that survive the unthinkable. In 1945, experts predicted that nothing would grow in Hiroshima for 3/4 of a century. They were wrong. Today, Hiroshima is not a city of shadows, but a city of light. It has transformed its greatest scar into its greatest message. Standing at the centre of the Peace Memorial Park, the Genbaku Dome remains, a skeletal hand reaching out of the past, preserved exactly as it was at 8:15 a.m. on that fateful August morning. But just steps away, you find the Children's Peace Monument, covered in millions of colourful origami cranes, symbols of a young girl's hope that peace could be folded into reality. Hiroshima does not ask us to remember the death, but to celebrate the rebirth. It is a city that teaches the world that no matter how deep the darkness, the origin of life is always stronger. Before Kyoto, before Tokyo, there was Nara. In the 8th century, this was the end of the Silk Road, the very first capital of a unified Japan. But even then, the city was not ruled solely by men. Legend says that a god once arrived at Nara's mountain on the back of a white deer. Since that day, the thousands of Sika deer that roam the city have been protected as messengers of the gods. They are the only wild animals on Earth that have learned to bow, a silent ancient agreement between nature and civilization that has lasted for over 1,000 years. Deep within Nara Park sits Todaiji, the world's largest wooden building. Inside, the Daibutsu, a giant bronze Buddha, has sat in meditation for 12 centuries, watching as empires rose and fell. It is a place where time doesn't just slow down, it feels like it has found its home. In the eyes of the deer and the shadow of the Buddha, we see the oldest soul of Japan. We came to Japan looking for an end, but we found a beginning. We found a nation that lives in the 22nd century yet prays in the 10th. Japan shows us that we do not have to choose between our history and our future. We can be both. We can build skyscrapers of glass and still find God in a stone garden. As the sun sets on our journey, we realize that the origin of this earth isn't just a place, it's the spirit to keep moving forward. This is Origin Earth. Subscribe and join us for the next journey. Thank you for watching.